On December 15, the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, military for the first time publicly called for clues about irregularities in Air Force equipment procurement, with no time limit set, directly targeting the deep waters of the military equipment system. On December 17, Hu Chunhua appeared with unusually high protocol at the conference marking the 80th anniversary of the China Democratic National Construction Association, CDNCA, receiving a clear close-up shot on CCTV's Xinwen Lianhua, 2 days earlier. People's Daily Online had run a lengthy feature praising the achievements of Lhasa, Nyingchi, and Shannon in Tibet, regions where Hu had previously served as a top local leader. On December 18, Wang Wenhua, the former Secretary-General of the Qingdao Municipal People's Congress Standing Committee and a longtime chief aide to Li Ruihuan, was placed under investigation after 8 years of retirement, becoming the 61st tiger taken down this year. On the surface, these three developments seem to belong to separate domains: local anti-corruption, political personnel arrangements, and military rectification. But if you place them on the same timeline, you'll find they are not isolated events at all. They all point to the same reality: the power struggle within the CCP's top leadership is rapidly surfacing, and has already extended from behind-the-scenes maneuvering into the propaganda apparatus, local systems, and even the core of the military. The climax of this power drama may be about to arrive. Li Ruihuan's chief aide Wang Wenhua investigated 8 years after retirement. On December 18, the CCP's Central Commission for Discipline Inspection, CCDI, announced that Wang Wenhua, former deputy party secretary of the Qingdao Municipal Party Committee, was under investigation, making him the 61st centrally managed official to fall this year. Wang is 68 years old. He stepped down in 2017 and has now been retired for a full 8 years. As soon as the news came out, many people immediately sensed that this was unlikely to be just an ordinary corruption case. Let's first look at his resume. In his early career, Wang mainly worked in the general office of the CCP Central Committee, serving as a party committee member, youth league secretary, and office section chief. His most critical experience was his long tenure as confidential secretary and party branch secretary of the office of former Politburo Standing Committee member and CPPCC chairman Li Ruihuan. In other words, he was one of the closest secretaries in Li Ruihuan's personal circle. After Li Ruihuan retired, he arranged for Wang to take up a local leadership post. In April 2005, Wang first served as deputy party secretary of Qingdao on a secondment basis. In November 2007 he was made permanent, gaining vice-ministerial rank. In March 2012 he became director and party secretary of the Qingdao Municipal People's Congress Standing Committee, a role he held until stepping down in April 2017. After retirement, he still held several positions, such as director of the Qingdao Working Committee for the Care of the Next Generation and specially invited vice president of the China International Council for the Promotion of Multinational Corporations. As recently as September 21, 2025, he even attended a signing ceremony for a central state-owned enterprise, showing that he remained quite active after leaving office. What makes this case particularly noteworthy is precisely Wang's close connection to Li Ruihuan. Among the still-living party elders, Li is one of the most influential. He is seen as a representative of the reformist and pragmatic wing, and together with Wen Jiabao, Zhang Youxia, and others, is regarded by outside observers as a core member of the current elders faction. Even more noteworthy is that another of Li Ruihuan's secretaries, Li Jun, resigned from his post as vice chairman of the Hainan Provincial People's Congress Standing Committee on September 30 this year. Some commentators have pointed out that Wang's investigation is likely not just a standalone anti-corruption move, but a probing strike aimed at a specific political faction. And the fuse for this purge may have already been visible back at the 20th Party Congress. At the 20th Congress, beyond the scene of Hu Jintao being escorted out, there was another moment that left a deep impression. When Xi Jinping walked up to the rostrum to deliver his speech, all the delegates, including the retired elders, applauded enthusiastically as per the usual script. Only then, 88-year-old Li Ruihuan sat motionless, hands still, staring straight at Xi Jinping, showing no intention of playing along with the performance. While Xi spoke, Li Ruihuan did not look particularly attentive, unlike others around him. That moment seemed to foreshadow that something might unfold between the two men. Besides Wang Wenhua, Li Ruihuan's other main secretary, 63-year-old former Hainan Vice Provincial Legislature Chair Li Jun, also voluntarily resigned this September. In just a few months, two of Li Ruihuan's longtime chief aides have run into serious trouble, suggesting that this wave of political cleansing targeting the elders faction is accelerating. Against this backdrop, Wang Wenhua's downfall is likely the opening move in a series of political signals at the end of 2025, rather than just another ordinary anti-corruption headline. Hu Chuanhua's frequent reappearance, state media hype sends abnormal signals. If Wang Wenhua's fall is a hard news item carrying an obvious political message, then almost simultaneously, another signal, seemingly softer but just as unusual, has been appearing intensively in state media: Hu Chuanhua's frequent and high-profile presence. On December 17, Xinhua News Agency and CCTV's Xinwen Lianbo reported on a conference celebrating the 80th anniversary of the China Democratic National Construction Association, held in Beijing. On the surface, this looks like a routine celebration for a minor party under CCP leadership. But a closer look at the details shows this was clearly unusual. The CDNCA, the third-ranked of China's democratic parties, only holds such large-scale commemorative events on decadal anniversaries. The last time was the 70th anniversary conference in 2015, attended by then Politburo member and United Front chief Sun Quanlan, who delivered the congratulatory speech. The CPPCC was represented by its 14th-ranked vice-chairman, Liu Zhonggong. This time, the congratulatory speech was still delivered by a Politburo member, Li Ganjie, but the CPPCC representative was Hu Chuanhua, who currently ranks second among vice-chairpersons. The protocol level was significantly higher. More importantly, Xinwen Lianbo gave Hu Chuanhua a clear, steady camera shot. In the CCP's propaganda system, this is never a random decision. Those who understand CCP political operations know full well that who attends, who appears, and who gets screen time are themselves political signals. Nor is this Hu's only recent appearance. On December 15, People's Daily Online published a long feature titled "Magnificent Tibet Striding Forward," lauding Tibet's recent achievements in ecological conservation, poverty alleviation, and infrastructure building. The article highlighted the development models of Lhasa, Nyingchi, and Shannon, praising them for achieving a win-win between ecology and development. Though Hu Chuanhua was not mentioned by name, anyone familiar with his record can see that these three regions line up exactly with key areas where he served and governed during his 2 tours in Tibet. In CCP media discourse, this "no names mentioned, but every line matches a resume" style is very familiar. Commentator Tang Jingyuan notes that such articles are essentially a form of indirect political endorsement. The real purpose is not to introduce local development, but to carry the sedan chair for a particular political figure. Looking back at Hu Chuanhua's career, he was once regarded as a key successor from the Communist Youth League Tuanpai faction, but at the 20th Party Congress he was unceremoniously kicked out of the Politburo by Xi Jinping and reassigned as a vice-chairman of the CPPCC, earning the nickname of "Discarded Crown Prince." For a time, many believed his political career had been put on pause. But judging from developments after the 4th Plenum this October, things are clearly changing. Hu has not only begun appearing in public more frequently, but the venues, protocol level, and media treatment he receives all stand in stark contrast to his earlier cold bench status. The coordinated push from state media, from People's Daily highlighting Tibet's achievements to CCTV giving him prominent shots at the CDNCA event, shows that the propaganda system can no longer fully suppress this momentum. This suggests that the anti-Xi alliance is, for the first time, flexing its muscles within the propaganda apparatus. Commentator Jiang Weiping has bluntly said that this publicity campaign is meant to signal to the outside world, the one who is now capable of taking over power is Hu Chuanhua. If the rumored 5th Plenum reshuffle actually happens, Hu's return to the Politburo, or even a higher position, would mark the first substantive counterattack by the remnants of the Tuanpai after the 20th Congress, and would signal a visible tilt in the balance of power. For this reason, many observers believe Hu's recent high-profile appearances are not Xi Jinping throwing a bone, but the result of another force pushing him forward. That force is widely believed to be the elders faction we mentioned earlier. At 62, Hu is one of the few remaining Tuanpai figures who still combines age, resume, capability, and symbolic value. With Xi Jinping's authority weakened and his personal loyalists repeatedly purged, bringing Hu back into the spotlight naturally draws intense attention. At the same time that figures close to elderly Rui Huan are being taken down, Hu is clearly being elevated in state media. This one-down one-up contrast has led many watchers to conclude that the internal struggle at the top of the CCP is no longer being fully disguised, but is gradually coming into the open. And what has unfolded next within the military system has made that judgment even more intriguing. Backtracking Air Force procurement, upgraded military anti-corruption, who is the real target? While Wang Wenhua was falling and Hu Chunhua was reappearing in high profile, an extremely unusual move occurred within the military. On December 15, the PLA issued an announcement on the Military Procurement Network, publicly soliciting clues from society about irregularities in Air Force procurement. The scope of the investigation covers multiple stages of material and service procurements, including needs assessment, procurement review, contract performance, supplier penalties, and the selection of tender agents. It explicitly requires real-name reports, with the acceptance period running all the way until June 2026. This approach is quite rare in the CCP's military system. Past military anti-corruption campaigns were mostly internal investigations handled internally, and even when cases were publicized, the details were often vague. This time, not only was the Air Force named explicitly, but the military also proactively reached out to society for clues, showing the seriousness is far from ordinary. Even more striking is that the announcement does not set any time limit on how far back the investigation can go. Previously, after the Rocket Force was hit by a massive corruption scandal, the PLA conducted a backdated probe into equipment procurement, but the timeline was explicitly limited to post-2017. Outside observers widely believe that this time cutoff was a way to, technically avoid, scrutinizing the period when Zhang Youxia served as head of the Armaments Department. Public records show that from 2012 to 2017, Zhang Youxia served as head of the General Armaments Department and, after restructuring, as director of the Central Military Commission's Equipment Development Department. He was one of the core leaders of the military's equipment and procurement system. He held the signing authority over all major procurement contracts across the armed forces, including those for the Air Force. This time, however, the Air Force procurement probe comes with no stated starting year, effectively leaving the door open for a full retroactive audit. This discrepancy from earlier practice immediately triggered speculation. Over the past 2 years, the Air Force has already been rocked by multiple rounds of anti-corruption. Several senior officers have either fallen or are rumored to have done so. Former Air Force Commander Ding Lieheng fell 9 months after being transferred from a nominal NPC post back into a real role in 2023. Equipment Development Department Head General Su Xueqiang has been absent from key events, including the commissioning of the Fujian aircraft carrier in November and the Central Economic Work Conference in December, and is reported by commentator Kai Shenkuan to have fallen. Current Air Force Commander, 58-year-old General Chang Dingqiu, is rumored to have died of a heart attack while under detention, though this has not been officially confirmed. His Baidu Baiki entry has quietly been deleted. So is this retroactive probe into Air Force procurement aimed directly at Zhang Youxia, or is it a purge led by Zhang himself, targeting other factions? For now, there is no clear answer. What is certain, though, is that military anti-corruption is no longer simply about cleaning up graft. It has become a deep expression of elite power struggle. At the local level, close associates of elderly Rui Huan are being held to account. At the political level, Hu Chunhua is being visibly elevated by state media. Within the military, the procurement system is being pried open, with backchecking set to have no upper limit. Viewed together, these 3 threads reveal a highly synchronized rhythm. From the local to the central, from propaganda to military power, the CCP's internal struggle is advancing to deeper levels and becoming increasingly public. As for on whom the blade of the Air Force procurement probe will ultimately fall, that answer may not be far off. If you found this analysis helpful, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and share it with friends who also follow China's power struggles. Your support helps more people see what's really happening behind the headlines.